Welcome to Shift Today with Alison. My name is Alison Schuh Hawsey, and I'm your host. I'm an intuitive transformational life coach, and I'm here to do straight talk about all things intuition. So thank you for joining me today. Today's topic, I'm going to be covering 5 takeaways from my recent trip to California. And this, I think, is such a cool story. And I wanted to share it with you because I wanted to share a real-time example of how the intuition can be awkward, highly uncomfortable, but lead to something incredible if you truly pay attention and listen and stop listening to the clutter of the noise and the shit shields around you and really truly know what feels good for you, whether it's something you have to go towards or something you have to step away from. So here is my example today. Today I'm talking about a relationship. I mean, I guess you could almost say this is a little bit like online dating, but not really because it's about friendship. I am an intuitive transformational life coach, which I mentioned, and I teach weekly on an app called Insight Timer. And back in October of 2022, a woman reached out to me after one of my live sessions that she had been on, and she wanted to connect. She really loved what I said. I did a reading for her. Her brother came through, and it was just like, wow, here we are. And fast forward to here, now it's 2025, and I just got back from a trip for meeting her in person for the first time. We have been talking about this for a year. And it finally happened. And so this is kind of a little journey, but I really want to talk about these takeaways, right? Because she reached out to me. We started a relationship just chitter chatting back and forth on Instagram. And then it led to she is a health coach. She works with women, primarily with women. And she was struggling, losing her niece, losing her brother. Just we all have things that happen in our life that cause us big challenges. But she was hosting a challenge in January of 2023. And I wanted to join her challenge. I wanted to get myself healthier. And I'm like, it's time for me to make some changes. So I joined a challenge she was doing, which really just kind of brought us together and having different conversations. And over time, we ended up evolving into using the app Marco Polo. And now we Marco Polo pretty much weekly. We're always checking in with each other. And it's just led us to create this incredible, incredible relationship. So, she, in January, found out her husband was going to be traveling, and they have a condo in the Pajara Dunes area, which is right between Santa Cruz and Monterey. And she's like, this is just a last minute, maybe. I don't know if you're going to be open for this, but would you like to come to California and we can go to the condo together and have just like a girls' trip? And I'm like, absolutely. That sounds amazing. I love California. I haven't been back to California since I used to go visit my Uncle Alan there all the time. And I'm like, let me see what I can do. I looked up airfares. I talked to my husband, looked at the calendar. Why not? Everything was lining up. Let's do this. I'm going. I'm gonna finally meet Pam in person. So I got my ticket, and a couple weeks later, I was on a flight. I was headed to California to meet Pam, and we had the most incredible trip. The most incredible one. This is like literally one of my top trips that I in my life. It was so incredible. And it's not just because of the place and the food we ate and the activities we did. It was because it was effortless. It was one of these trips where I was fully present in everything that was happening. And it allowed me to have some unbelievable, unexpected experiences, but just incredible experiences. And so I have 5 takeaways that I want to share with you. And all of these are intuition based. So this is something that I wanted, I love to share all things intuition on here. So here are some of my takeaways that I have. And at the end of, because this is also a video on my YouTube, I will post some of the pictures that we took on this trip and some of the video too. So here goes. My number one, let's see, these aren't like number one. I just have 5 takeaways. It doesn't matter which one's first or second or third. So one of them was if it feels right, then it is right, right? If something feels right, like everything in you is saying, this feels right for me, right? This is your intuition. So when she had asked me before, she had asked me, I think last fall, and nothing felt right about it. It didn't line up correctly. Things just were not going to work out. I knew just the space I was in, things happening in my family, happening, just life was not going to line up. But this time when she said it, I was like, you know what? Everything feels amazing. And if there's not a lot of hiccups, I'm going. And it felt absolutely right. So I trusted my intuition, right? My intuition led me here. It led me to go. And I wrote this one thing. We laughed, we talked, we walked, and we were able to respect each other's space. That doesn't happen often, especially if you travel with your family, right? I mean, that doesn't always happen. But one thing that felt so right is that we were present in the moment. I was allowing her to be her, and she was allowing me to be me. And even though we've talked over Marco Polo, we've talked on the phone, we FaceTimed, we used to host a little show on Instagram every Tuesday where we would check in with each other live. But we were allowing each other to be each other. And it was incredible, right? We had never met in person. Like we could have met in person and our energy might not have meshed. But there was everything telling me that when we met in February, it was going to be amazing. And it was. It truly was. So if it feels right, the intuition is telling you. If it feels right, stop listening to your limiting beliefs and doubting yourself and go for it, because this really leads to the second thing that happened for me. No expectations creates adventure. I am not one that lives with expectations. And that really makes me, I would say, a little bit more unique than most. Most people I know have such a massive list of expectations. And I know this because my kids come home from every day from school, stressed out by the expectations that they have to abide by at school, which is why we have a very safe space here at home. And we live with intention. By living in the intentional space, you are opening your eyes, you're opening your mind, your heart, your senses, your instincts, and you're strengthening your intuition to listen to what you know feels right and doesn't feel right for you. If something doesn't feel right for you and it feels fearful, that is your conditioned self leading you down a path of pain points and limiting beliefs. But if something is uncomfortable and you're like, oh, this means I have to stop, and oh, this means I have to lean into the awkwardness, then let's go for it, right? So that is what no expectations creates adventure. So while researching, like a lot of people are big fans of researching every little thing, having every moment planned out. I love researching things. I love having a few things sprinkled in, but I also like leaving space open. Why? For unexpected adventures, spontaneous moments to happen. And here's a few things that happened for us. This is really cool. So when she had picked me up from the airport and we were driving to the place, I think it was like an hour drive. It wasn't bad. And one of the things, I mean, we are constantly, I mean, we've only been friends and talking for 2.5 years. And so there's still things we're learning about each other. And one thing when we exited and we were turning to go towards where the condo was, there was this giant abandoned house that it looks abandoned. It has had better days. I mean, it's like an old Victorian type house. And I'm like, oh my God, do you know that I have a secret, like, guilty pleasure where I will go down a rabbit hole on YouTube about abandoned houses. Like, I am so fascinated by abandoned houses. I will watch all sorts of different people go through abandoned houses because I am so fascinated by people's stories. And some abandoned houses are out there that people leave things behind. It's like they literally just walked away. and their cereal bowl is still sitting there from 1970. It's crazy. Anyway, so I just have this thing about abandoned houses. Well, she's got this abandoned, well, she doesn't have it, but there's abandoned house right at the exit of right where you get off to go to her, to go to this condo. And of course, I had to do some research. I did it after the trip, but I did the research and get this, there is a connection to Arkansas with that house. The third owner was Japanese American, and they lived there and they were beet farmers. And when World War II happened and Pearl Harbor was attacked, they were taken into custody and they were brought to Arkansas to go to one of the camps. All those Japanese Americans that were taken in, and they brought them here to Arkansas and other places in the country. But I know there were several camps here in Arkansas, and the family stayed here in Arkansas in these camps until after the war and then returned to the house. I'm like, what? Like, how crazy is that? I thought that was pretty fascinating. So that was one thing. Another thing that happened is the first day. So I got there on a Tuesday. Wednesday morning, we were walking the beach because the sun was out and it was beautiful. And we're just walking, and I'm like, we're looking ahead, and of course, I'm fascinated. She's walked these beaches before, but I'm like, I know there's like trees and logs and things that come up on the beach, but up ahead, I see something and it's moving and it's not a dog. I'm like, is that a seal? Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? So we get close. And again, at the end of this video, I will have a video of the sweet little seal that we found. It's actually not a seal. We found a sea lion, a baby sea lion. And I was like, oh my God, like here we are, this poor little baby. You could tell it was young and it was definitely malnourished. You could see its spine. Things were not going well for the sea lion. I understand. I am all for the circle of life, but I cannot see an animal in pain and suffering when I know there has to be somebody out there who's an expert that can help it. So sure enough, we found the marine mammal sanctuary. I will list that also in the show notes here. But they came, we called them. They asked for a photo of the sea lion and a snapshot of where we were on the beach. And they showed up in probably 45 minutes to come save the sea lion, who's now in Sausalito. So I'll also put a link to that so you can see the sea lion where it's at now. And if you want to maybe make a donation, but I have to share this with you. Of course, I came home to find out, what is the meaning of the sea lion? What is the meaning? I am all about, if something comes into your path, look it up. There's a reason. There's a reason everyone else that morning walked past this sea lion so that we could find this sweet baby and help it. So I wanted to read this to you. This is out of the Stephen Farmer book, Animal Spirit Guides. So, under sea lion, if a sea lion shows up, and it did, right? It totally showed up in our path. I'm going to read this to you. Your creative imagination is active and fertile right now, so keep a journal nearby and write in it every day. And if you know me well enough, I have a journal with me at all times. Your dreams will be very clear and vivid, so pay close attention to them for any messages from your subconscious. The cycle of challenges and hardship is complete, and you're now moving into a time of plenty and abundance. Although it's an emotional time for you, you're quite comfortable experiencing these feelings while at the same time staying grounded. This is a time to stay attuned to your natural rhythms, such as sleeping when you're tired, eating when you're hungry, and exercising when you feel the urge to do so. What? If it's a sea lion, this is a time to let yourself experience joy and be playful. Listening to all that's around you is important, especially to yours and others' feelings. And that will absolutely come to play here in a minute. And take time to stretch or do yoga to keep your body flexible. I mean, I cannot even tell you, I didn't have this at that time. I didn't read this until I got home, but we did all of the things that I just read to you. And there, some of these, and I didn't read this until after I wrote the piece that I'm sharing with you right now. So this is just how the universe works. It's incredible. So we saved that sweet sea lion. We saw multiple rainbows. She had this big, beautiful window in the condo that looked out over the Pacific Ocean. And at one point, we were looking out, and it was like a painting that changed by the minute, right? How weather changes so quickly on the Pacific coast. It would just change, and the colors change. It was moody, it was brilliant, it was so incredible. But there was one point, there was a rainbow, which I will put also at the end of this show on YouTube, and you will see this gorgeous rainbow that just was coming right. It looked like it was coming out of the ocean. It was incredible. And Pam's like, I've been coming here for years and have never seen anything like this before. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. It was incredible. So anyway, stay tuned for the video at the end. We also met some lovely people, right? We did do where I talked about expectations. I did do a little research because one of my goals was to see a sea otter, which wasn't meant to be because we met that sweet sea lion. But I found a sound bath in Monterey because we were going to go spend a day in Monterey. And I found this beautiful sound bath. And both of us were like, well, if it fits our schedule, we're going to go. So we went and we met some delightful people. It was incredible. The whole thing. I mean, I'm not going to go through every little detail, but it was just so there were so many unexpected ventures that we had. Why? Because it wasn't, duh, 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 duh. We have to get here by this time to do this, and then go on to this, and then go on to this, and then go on to this. No, we're like, here's a whole bunch of things. This is at this time. This is at this time. Whatever's going to fit is going to fit, and we're going to enjoy. And that's how we played it. And it was so incredible and magical. One of the other takeaways is that I really recognized something in myself. This was not a dig on her. This was just a moment of recognition for me that I needed. I didn't realize how much, I mean, I do a mindfulness practice. I do it on the regular because I want to make sure I keep my mindset clear because I want to keep learning. I want to keep expanding. I want to make sure I'm staying in my lane and I can offer grace and compassion to others. It doesn't mean every single person has to be in my life. But one thing I did recognize is that I no longer live in the past. I truly have done so much work that I am authentically staying here in the present. I'm showing up for myself and I'm showing up here in this timeline. Doesn't mean I don't like to look backwards at wisdom. Doesn't mean I don't like to enjoy a song from the past because I absolutely do. But I still love to learn new things and be open to new music and to be open to new movies and telling new stories and newness, right? And this trip reinforced that I am finally anchored in my current reality, which just felt really good. I, I, I thought I was, but I didn't feel it like I felt it on this trip. And at the same time, I can meet others where they are without getting stuck in their past or their limitations that they're struggling with at the moment, right? Because I don't replay my pain over and over. There is a difference when we are replaying a story over and over and over. And then there's another part that's kind of expectational, right? Because we're kind of waiting for something to change. I know this because I was there at one point. I replayed pain for decades over and over until I learned how to stop doing that, which is what I teach. And there's a difference by replaying than sharing. Like I can easily share a story of something that has happened that's painful to me or that used to be painful to me, but it's no longer painful. It's just a fact of something that happened in the past that I've moved on from, that I'm not hugging and holding and needing somebody to console me over or to see me or to validate me. And I recognize this because there were some painful stories that Pam has shared with me. She shared with me over Marco Polo over the last 2.5 years. I have heard multiple stories of painful things that she's gone through in the past. And she replayed most of those stories again while we were together. And it became apparent to me that I was like, wow, she is in this space of, I know she wants to heal from it, but she will do it when her time is ready, when her timeline is ready. But it doesn't also mean I have to show up as a coach for her. I don't. Just because I'm an intuitive transformational life coach, I am allowed to sit and have a conversation and listen to somebody share their painful stories over and over and over without coaching them. I'm if I want to share something, I can. I did share a few tips and tricks. We actually had this incredible Reiki session. It was amazing. And so many messages came through, but this was her experience and it has nothing to do with me. And so I'm in the realm where I can listen and hear her pain and not have to go into that pain with her because it's not mine and it really doesn't have anything to do with me. But I can love her through that process. Some people don't even allow others to love them through it, they want someone to fix it. Pam's not one of those. She's not wanting someone to fix it for her. She knows, right? But she also knows it's her timeline. And I'm so grateful to know that I'm not there needing to fix anything for her, just to love her through it, right? That's what friends do. The other thing that was really kind of cool that came up for us, I thought this kind of actually made me laugh so much. I kind of knew this ahead of time, but it was really apparent when we were together, and it literally made me giggle. It made me think of my friend Sandy so much. But our rhythm is very different, right? Or you know how some people move a little bit slower. Like I feel like I'm the turtle and Pam is the rabbit, 100% in this. Like she is go, 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 go. Everything she does, even sipping her coffee and drinking water, whatever she does it very quickly. Where I am just like, I'm getting my water. Here it is. Pam would have drunk it already. Like I sip my coffee for like 30 minutes. Nope, she's done in 5 minutes. Like she does things. She is snappy. She's a go-getter. She wants to get it done. She wants to do it. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Me, I'm like, I'm coming. And I'm like a snail or a little turtle in the I'm a lot slower. And you know what? That's amazing. Right? I remember that used to drive me crazy. That actually used to be one thing with friends in the past and my mom. It's like, oh, let's go, let's go, let's go. We got to do, 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 do. And I can be like that sometimes too. When I was overscheduled, when I had to, everything was a routine. I had to get all my stuff done, certain time, certain way, da, 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 da. I'm not like that anymore, right? My mindfulness is a practice. It's not a routine. I don't have boxes to check, right? I don't have to hurry through anything any longer. And that's okay for me. And guess what? It's absolutely okay for her to have her rhythm that is much faster than my own. That's amazing. It just made me giggle so much. She was so cute and amazing. Oh my gosh, it was awesome. So awesome. And finally, number 5 that I have that just came up, a takeaway, is that you never know unless you take a chance. You really don't. And I have taken so many chances in my life. I have not lived. I know because I think from a young person, I knew I was highly intuitive. I knew things. I knew what that feeling felt early in my days. But a simple interaction after a live session that we had, 2.5 years ago, led to this unexpected, beautiful friendship that we have today, and I know is going to sustain. And moments like these remind me to remain open to my connections that are meant for me, right? A lot of times we are so desperate because I know this. I've been there. I have been desperate for connection in the past. I absolutely have been desperate for relationships. I've moved a few times. I grew up in Chicago. I lived in Colorado. I've lived in South Carolina. And now I've been in Arkansas for almost 9 years. And when you move around, especially as an adult, you want to have those adult connections, right? You want to have those friendships. And it's different for me because I've moved around. Most people I know are still living in the same place, either that they lived their whole life or that they moved to after college. Me, I've kind of been multiple places. And for me, it's just taking that chance is because I believe in myself and I know my intuition is not going to guide me the wrong direction. I know the difference is when I'm not listening and it feels yucky than when I am listening and things might be unexpected because the unknown. Today is the unknown of yesterday, right? A lot of people will come to me and say, I'm so terrified of the unknown. I have no idea. Guess what? You walk into the unknown every single day. Just because we all have one of these and our calendar is on it, unknown and unexpected things happen every day, whether it's to us or whether it's to someone we love. It could be a celebration and it could be something that's incredibly sad. So we already walk into the unknown every single day. So imagine if you were to take some of those limiting beliefs that are holding you back, right? Doubting yourself, imposter syndrome, not knowing if you're good enough, the weary feeling of being overwhelmed because you have too much to do. What if you just stopped? Not when you're forced to stop, but you did it intentionally. What if you did an intentional pause in your life? What if you started incorporating more intentional pauses in your life? You have no idea what could open up for you. And for me, I do, because I continue to have these incredible experiences. And now I have a new friend. I could have just brushed it off. I could have ignored her, right? And I didn't. Instead, everything in me was like, she really sounds like somebody I could be friends with. Well, let's just see what happens. And here we are 2.5 years later, and we're friends. And we plan on getting together every year to see how much our lives continue to expand and grow. So that's all I have for you today. But I challenge you. I'm doing this little challenge. It's February 2025, and I'm doing in the month I'm calling February the Feel It month. Stop your feeling. Like I'm sorry, keep your feelings flowing. Stop pausing things. And one of the number one things we pause is when we say, I can't. I can't. If you are embracing the phrase and notice today, now that you've listened to this, notice today how many times you say, I can't. And if you're like, oh, I just said it. Instead, choose. I am choosing. I can't go out to dinner tonight. I'm choosing to stay home and make a beautiful meal. I can't make it to that get together because I'm choosing to do this art class. I can't spend time with my friends' negative energy any longer. You can say, I'm choosing to step away and pause so that she can figure it out. I can't deal with my kids' disrespect anymore. Instead, you can say, I'm choosing to allow them to figure some things out and make tough choices and fall down because that's how they learn. There's many things we say we can't do, right? If I said and I had I can't in my life still, I would not have taken this trip to California. I wouldn't have these incredible memories, these incredible videos and pictures I'm about to share at the end of this talk. I might not even have Pam as a friend if I kept using the word I can't, but I choose to listen. I choose to listen to spirit, to higher power, to universe, to God, to myself, to see what feels right, knowing it's going to help me grow and expand my life. And it's going to put things on pause that no longer feel good, even though that can be tricky and hard. But it's also allowing me to strengthen myself and grow. So I hope you can do the same. Because when you implore some of these little tips and tricks, right? Let me review these really quick. right? Number one was, if it feels right, it is right. The second one was no expectations, create adventure. Next was, I no longer live in the past, I live in the present. Then I learned we each have our own pace and rhythm. And that's beautiful because we can learn from each other that way and show grace for each other. And then finally, you never know unless you take a chance. I think you're worth it. I know I am. That's why I keep doing it. Well, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy my little videos. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And I hope you can shift today into a greater tomorrow. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.
I know, sweetheart. We're getting you help, okay? It's coming. It's coming, sweetheart. We got you. Yeah.
So handsome.
Even that eye. His other eye looks like it's injured also. Hi, sweetheart. We got you, baby.
This episode of Shift Today with Alison was created, directed, produced, edited, and written, and 100% done by Alison Schuh Hawsey. That's me. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you would subscribe, share this with a friend, rate and or review wherever you listen to your podcasts, and just end up having a beautiful day. See you next time.